Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about mess of late stage capitalism part 1. Here we're going to figure out what's the problem. In part 2, we're going to discuss more in detail on how to fix it. So what is capitalism? Let this be very clear. This is an umbrella topic, as in like people spent PhDs into it in order to summarize it basically. So I'm just going to give you a very surface level stuff of it. So what does that mean? That's an economic system in which private actors owns and controls property in accordance with their own interest. What does that mean? That simply means if you go back in the days of like, let's say 1100 or 1500, generally there was kingship or tribe or whatever have you. They were deciding, like there was some cabal at the center of it. They were deciding, like a king could decide, okay, we have to ready for war, so now everybody focus on arming and training and weapons manufacturing and all that. It's a common thing. Basically, we were living in a top-down society. Now capitalism is completely opposite. There is no top. Of course there is some greater momentum into it, but people generally focus on their own system, basically their own desire. So if a farmer decides, you know what, I'm gonna plant cotton because I want to, he can do that. If this was compared to communism system, communism could say, oh, we have gotten this much quota for this year harvest, so we must plant corn. Like, no, I don't want to plant corn, it won't work in my soil. Then who cares? It's like the order came from the top. So that does not happen in capitalism. People decide what they want to do. Of course there will be greater forces, of course things will be there, but your own interest dictates how it goes. So, and another aspect is production of goods and services. For example, what is this video? This is a service that I'm providing you guys. Now, whether you like it or not, that's up to you. But that's the whole point. If this was a communist system or King Wars era, it will be very simple. It's a message from top down. So basically, how does TV shows in basically North Korea is made? Somebody in the top decides it. It's made. The end. It does not matter whether market forces are working for it or against it. Like there is no feedback loop, there is no efficiency, there is no optimization. It's just like somebody decided, the end, go home. So that's completely opposite to capitalism. Now, what is the core focus of capitalism? Core focus is profit, meaning make sure that you are in better position today than you were yesterday. Basically, keep moving upwards and forward. That's the core essence of it. Now, here's the deal. What should government do in a capitalist society? But here's the deal. Capitalism does have some wisdom to it, that if you left capitalism raw, like no checks and balances, no fail-safe, nothing, yeah, it will self-destruct. Exactly like any system that does not have feedback loop. So government's job is regulation. Basically, apply some brakes into it. So basically, if you are going like a train, you're going on a tight turn, driver has to be like, hey, let's chill. Yeah, we can go faster, but yes, we will derail. So that's the same thing of a government in a capitalist system. They're not supposed to control everything, but they're supposed to apply some brakes when there's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey man, let's apply some brakes here. Or like, you're doing this is good, this is wrong, or, some regulations, checks and balances. Now, who came up with this idea? Well, practically it's an ecosystem. It grew on its own over time. So, but like the father of capitalism is classified as Adam Smith, generally in basically 1790. Yes, it is that old. If you ever wondered GDP, who the heck was the individual who came up with the GDP? Yeah, this is the individual. Now, be mindful, concept level, early mathematics and all that. But he was the individual that had a different kind of view rather than, okay, from top down. So top royalties at that time will decide everything. No, no, no. Let the market decide. Let the market flow like an organic garden. That's the best analogy I can give you. So that was the whole capitalism. So if people aren't like, break the wall, you break the goddamn wall. So that's the capitalism. Now, is there anything good about it? Yeah, even though way too many people basically bitch about it, it does have awesome things, and that's why we can bitch about it. Others, you cannot complain. So, what's the best core essence of capitalism? That is the best part of it. It's the closest alignment to our animal kingdoms protocol. Meaning, if you want to, do hula lala to yourself, is like we are magical creature. No, we are not. What we are is social animal. What does that mean? That simply means we have a bios function which we classify as animal. Meaning, if you try to do things that are forcing that bios layer to not work properly, it will backfire. Meaning, it will not work. Meaning, do we want to compete? Yes, fundamentally. On our DNA level, we want to compete. We want to show mine's bigger than yours. That's coming from animal kingdom layer. Now, I do hate all the planet documentaries and all that because they have pampered way too much out of it. Even if they are showing something violent, they cut before it actually comes to the conclusion. And how they are talking about it, it's just like it's a minor inconvenience. Bro, animal kingdom have cruelty that makes our cruelty looks like a horny teenager throwing temper tantrum. the cruelty that let's say ant kingdom does to another ant kingdom, whew, we have not checklist for that. We have no checklist for that. So let that be very clear. So that's why capitalism does work this well. It's like it does not expect you to be this magical alien being who works for the greater good. Like that, yeah, that does not happen. We are not made out of alien DNA. We are made out of this DNA. So capitalism aligns very close to this, not perfectly, but close enough compared to any other system. So that's the core benefit of it. Now, that is the essence. What's the another benefit of it? It has a mix of self-corrective systems. For example, let's say there is no very serious government oversight. Somebody makes a company that makes a medicine, let's say puts some addictive things to it and sells a lot. Right? Capitalism working, exploiting people and all that. But here's the deal. What happens without it? Like, let's say there is no intervention. Eventually people catch up to it. Eventually people are like, dude, this is just not healthy. Like, I have to keep drinking this stuff which is supposed to be healthy, but somehow it has something that if I do not drink, I have like a very serious side effect. At some point, other competitor will pick it up. It's like, hey, and then, you know, there is some self-correction. People will boycott this one and this one. Of course, there will be damages and all, but there is self-correction. Now, compare this to, let's say, Chinese Communist Party. Now, they came up with this random idea on the top. It's like, what if we poof the people? What if we force people to have one child? Every mathematician in the centuries, they were like, bruh, you do know population must be at 2.1. Any number below 2.1, you're dead. You will not live beyond one human lifespan. Human lifespan is 90 years, meaning if you file this protocol, you will live long enough to watch your country turn to dust. And like, who cares? F it. Now they did it and they died, and then they're like, yeah, we should have 3 children around. Nobody's having it. And it's like, there is no correction left. That's the whole point. Somebody in the top forced it and there was no correction action done. Now be mindful, it is a bit difficult for people to understand that it's 2.1, not 1. It's 2.1. Every woman must be at 2.1. Now 2.1 simply means some women will have 3, some will have 0. That's why 2.1. 2.1 is bare minimum to keep your population just where it is. Any number below that, it has cascading failure. It does not shrink. Nature can shrink you, but if you do it yourself, yeah, collapse. So everybody knew this. But why did China did it? Like, why they are undoing it right now? It cannot be undone. They waited too long to undo it. That's the whole point. Capitalist system has self-correction. So any system other than this does not have, like, if a king decides, I'm gonna be war tribe lord, oh yeah, you have no choice. In capitalism, if let's say a country keeps going to other countries and keep doing war, at some point people will be just like, yeah, we're not gonna put up with this. It happens. Now, my personal favorite aspect of capitalism, which I truly love, is limit on bureaucracy. Now, if you ask me which is the bigger problem in this planet right now, global warming or bureaucracy, global warming is child's play. We know how to solve it. We have known this from 1950. Rudolf Diesel knew how to solve this. So basically, it's an easy problem to solve. Why don't we solve it? Bureaucracy. Meaning, by the time you go through the paperwork, it will be like, yeah, this shit is not worth it. Let the planet burn. Bureaucracy is that dangerous. But in a capitalist world, let's give you an example of India. India has a lot of requirement for passport services. Back in the government was like, we're gonna do it, and bureaucracy and blah blah blah, nothing happened. So what did government do? Capitalist world, they were like, what if we privatize it? What if we are offering it as a service through our private contractors? It worked. Now we have a much faster passport services. Back in the day, countries, literally Indian country was like, what if we directly tried run basically airlines? Yeah, you could not do that, and they didn't, and it backfired. But again, self-correcting action. Now government is like, okay, my bad. That my bad does not happen in other systems. And rag to riches is doable. Let this be very clear. It does not mean 100% of people can do this, but does mean some can. Now, is that better compared to all other systems? Absolutely. Why? In other systems, you are locked by your birthright. Let that be very clear. You're locked by your birthright. Here, at least there is a problem. Like, this is a awesome gentleman, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, captain of Indian cricket team, and he had amazing track record. Here's the funny thing. He was actually train conductor, like as a TT, we call it train conductor. He was going collecting tickets. He was that poor. Like, he was not swimming, let's just put it that way. Now, he's a very, again, say, Shahrukh Khan. His finances are on the same level as Will Smith when he was in the peak. Yeah, dude is loaded. Ed Sheeran, J.K. Rowling. Now here's the all of them. Now these are just few examples. There were billions of examples. Literally, where do you think the middle class came from? We were like top kings and royalties, and nobody else to middle class. Where the middle class came from? That's the whole point. Rag to riches is doable. Let this be very clear. It's not easy. It's not solid. Not getting more easier. Actually, it's getting harder. But we'll talk more about that. But it's doable. In principle, it's doable. In CCP, it's like CCP decides if you actually start to become rich and they're like you start to exert authority. CCP is like brah. Let's poof you. Yeah, Jack Ma, bro, awesome, but here's the deal. We're gonna poof you. Detach all your companies and fabricate it because you are controlling too much of it. So F you, and there is no government hearing us, just like we decide. So there is a lot of good in capitalism. So what about bad now? Here's the deal. Bad, the biggest thing is that once it's in motion, once it actually works, because you have to understand, look from Japan's point of view, they were boomed. They were literally boomed out of existence, like actual sun going kaboom. And then somehow they magically recovered from that hellhole to actually, oh, a country, a functioning country. Oh, to a techno country. It's like, what the hell happened? So it does work. It does get in motion. However, it does give addiction, brutal addiction, horrifyingly bad addiction of infinite growth in a finite world. Now, can we have infinite growth forever? Technically, yes, but we must have like multi-planetary civilization for that. We are not there yet. And most likely, we will not be there for at least 200 to 300 years. So, right now, let's assume Earth has a constraint. We cannot have this sort of addiction because here's the deal. You open a company, the early years will be the most awesome year. You're going to have exponential growth. You're going to go from being broke, being able to barely afford anything to be like, bro, I got this. I got this. Oh, I'm really got this. Oh, I don't even calculate anymore. So like that does happen. But here's the deal. Once you get addicted to that feeling, yeah, then is the bad problem. That is because here's the deal. No matter what you do, you will have the, early period, early growth, exponential profits, and then you're going to have a stagnant era. That stagnant era is not bad. It's good. It's healthy. It's circulating. It's healthy. It's normal. But if you're addicted to that extra, then you start to do cost cutting. And that point, things fall apart. Another aspect, because of that growth, early growth specifically, people start to focus on short term, like trying to shrink that period. Basically, imagine it this way. Some random people, like very early on, there are some videos of this, 2010 something like that. People uploaded some videos on YouTube. Yeah, back in the day, there where it had 10-minute limit. It's like, I think this Bitcoin is, I'm gonna spend some money. And then they forgot about it. And then like, thankfully they had the files and all that. And then magically they're like, oh, Bitcoin is high value now. They're like, not, they're like, let's just hold it. And then it's like, whoa, I bought it for $1 now, I sold it for $60,000. But here's the thing, that will not happen again. No matter how badly everybody wants to, it will never happen again. So for example, Elon Musk comes around, smokes too much, gets brain damage, is like, Tesla stock will always rise up. Law of physics does not allow that. Okay? Law of physics, so he's like, here's a t-shirt, stock, you are here and the line goes up. Yeah, that does not happen. The line will always go up, then it will stabilize and then it will fall. Now, hopefully that fall will happen very far ahead in the future, but that will always happen. It's supposed to happen. It's natural. You rise, you stabilize, you fall. Natural. This idea, you will rise, you will keep rising. Yeah, that does not happen. That's an addiction. Once you get that addiction, you start to focus on smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you destroy the very thing that you had. For example, Boeing. What was Boeing? Boeing was an American company that was pride jewel of America. They were like, Boeing is the stuff, man. Like, I'm not even joking. There was lines, protocol lines. There was like, if it's not Boeing, I ain't going. I'm like, damn. And Boeing did made warplanes. The warplanes were so robust, so absolute. They went to war, got boomed out of existence. They're like, yeah, we're going to need some buffer. Yeah, that's the craft name. So you get the point. Like, they went from that to making a company that is like so fragile, so barely running on. It's like, if one person does oops, there is no checklist on it. There's supposed to be 3 to 5 people to make sure that that oops does not happen. And again, one oops does happen. You are human. You are not gods. It's going to happen. But here's the deal. That should only happen one time. But how the heck Boeing happened? This is happening. That is happening. That is, again, short-term focus. Why short-term focus? Because once Boeing had that early growth, somebody was very retarded and they decided to put accountants on the top rather than engineers. And accountants, they were focusing on MBAs and all that. So they were focusing on that early addiction period. It was like, oh, the exponential growth. It's like, bro, you have reached saturation. You cannot have exponential growth anymore. You have to stabilize. So instead of stabilizing, they're like, what if the line goes up, but it's not going up? We can only sell, there is only that many aircraft demand, but what if each aircraft is cheaper? What if we fire the people? Oh yeah. What if fire the inspector? Oh yeah. Reduce our expenditure? Ultra yeah. But here's the, you reduced the very thing you should not touch. That's the whole point. Short-term gain, long-term destruction. And profit at any cost has toxicity. Like for example, all these companies, tech layoffs in 2022, they are like, what if we fire boatload of people? What if we fire 50,000 people? Day. What if we fire 23,000 people? What if we have a very good day? Only 10,000 people. What if we like, here's the deal. Every time these big companies did this sort of layoff, their stock price went up. Now here's the deal. That's a short-term thing. Now, how do I know that's a sort of here's the deal. There are two types of employees in every company. You have 80%er who are the majority of your workforce, and then you have 20%, the innovator, the horsepower basically. It happens in every country. We call it Prader distribution. You can look it up. So the idea is that 20% does the main bulk load. This runs the menagerie of work, basically the bulk load of work. But they are the one, the brain, the idea behind things. Now, if you just have a company, right, and people are working, and then you just randomly decide, you know what, if the employees, let's just fire everybody, do not even have the balls to actually say, hey, you are fired, it's just like block their cards and all that, and just randomly they are coming and trying. It's like, what the hell is happening? If you do that, here's the, and you do that at large scale, not like one employee or two employee. Do on large enough scale where every individual knows, I lost this friend, I'm not getting to meet her, I'm not getting to meet my dude, my bro is gone. If that happens, everybody who is at that 20%, yes, they are in the top 20%, yeah, they can easily find another job, easily, because they are that good. They will literally apply disc brakes in your company and find something else. And if you want to refill that post, which again many companies did try to do, they learned the hard way. Now they are charging exponentially more because they do not trust you, because you lost that trust. Trust takes years to make, seconds to break. And in long term, trust matters. Imagine, keep pissing off. Imagine another Boeing accident. How many accidents can happen before people are like, you know what, me out? They could throw away a century of progress. Century. Let that be very clear. A century of progress for 25 years of progress. Not even progress, 25 years of cost cutting. So that's the whole point. Profit at any cost is very toxic to everything. So there has to be some checks and balances. Now, what's the problem of it? What does it mean for you and I? Well, here's the deal. Not everything can be the next big thing, right? Like iPhone was a big deal. Again, I hate Apple from bottom of my heart and I want them to burn. But again, even I will say that this was a big deal. So that's absolute fact. But here's the deal. Does that mean every iPhone is the next big thing? No. But here's the deal. Watch every launch event for the last 3 to 4 years. It's sad. It's like, they're like, this is the greatest iPhone ever. I'm like, why are you using the same dicto word that Steve Jobs used when this was actually new? And why you're not giving your engineers, your own engineers, time? It's like, bro, we know nothing major happened. Or sometimes, because again, they are the industry leaders, they do have the luxury to know, like companies are switching to, let's say, from 4G to 5G, and that deployment will happen. How about you give them time? How about it's like, okay, how long do you need to deploy the networks? Okay, you, let's say, deploy 1.5 years from now. You're like, okay, we're going to release phone in, let's say, 1.6 years. Benefit of that would be, okay, you have the network and people now, oh, actual progress, rather than, okay, I released it, then I released it, and 5G switch happened in between, and they're like, I just bought it 5 months ago. It does not have 5G. 6 months later, it has 5G. That's all. By every model, they are trying to make the next big thing. Like, I really want to blow up the Samsung's product manager who lose motions this much. And this is a big thing that happened in 1980s. People got, because again, companies, let's say Sony, once they actually had that Walkman, it was like, whoa. Nothing after that was like that, whoa. Like they had PlayStation 2, but nothing after that was like, whoa. Like, if I'm not mistaken, PlayStation 2 still is the most selling home console. Nintendo Switch may be coming close to it. That's how big deal it was, like, whoa. And back in that day, it was like ultra whoa. So not every console would be that. Like, if you try to make it, it will backfire. And that's what happened. Like, let's say Canon, Nikon, Sony, whatever have you, they released 1 or 2 cameras and it was like, damn, good release. Everybody's like, awesome, everything. And then they're like, what if we start loose motioning it? It's like, you are not upgrading anything. You are just taking models, removing features and reducing cost. And then you are like adding features and increasing cost. It's mess. For example, I just bought an oscilloscope from Rigol. Here's the deal. It has categories, which is 70 megahertz and 100 megahertz. Here's the deal. What's the difference between them? If you said nothing, that's correct. There is literally nothing. It's a software lock. They literally created e-waste. So that's the whole point. Not everything could be like, you have to be healthy at that saturation period, where it's like, hey, we saturated. Let's just refine our things. Let's relax. Let's wait for the next big thing. Again, it will happen. But it's like, what if we start mass producing bullshit? It's like, and then we come to the worst thing. You break your own things, then you fix it in the next model. Like they will literally give you, like for example, there was a European Union law that 30-minute video recording, like my camera, I hate EU for this. They were smoking something back then. It's like if you can record more than 30 minutes of video, it's a video camera, we're going to increase tax. So every company was like, okay, we understand it. So we have to keep the cost low. So 29.59. I do not blame company. Let that be very clear. I do not blame company for this because it was a government bullshit. Okay, awesome. EU did got bitch slap again, capitalism. They got bitch slap and they fixed it. They removed the law. But here's the deal. Canada did not remove it. They're like, yeah, we are still forcing. Like they had to wait for other companies to catch up, cause enough loss, what we call loss of sales. They're like, oh, we cannot just expect people to buy $500 camera. Oh no, $5,000 camera instead of 500 because 30-minute recording limit. Oh yeah. So many times, and again, Canon knew what they were doing. They were like, if our sales ever become bad enough, we just gonna magically remove this. They broke it knowingly. Like for example, there is an awesome individual, DIY Perks. He opened one of the Canon system and he put a copper block, just a basic copper block, not like platinum, titanium, blah, 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 nothing, just a basic bitch copper block. And he put it there and CPU was not ready. And he did not had, there was room for it. I can guarantee you some engineers did design it. I guarantee you it. Whoever was doing thermal management for it, they did design it. But the product manager came as like, bruh, eat that puppy. It's like, sir, without heatsink, it will overheat. Yes, it's a problem. We're going to solve it in the next model. Yes, it does happen. Yes, that's tragic. Yes, it creates e-waste. Yes, it's a reality. That's the problem you and I face. We get garbage. Like, I cannot even tell you how many of this decision exists in my car. So way too many models, way too much waste. And it happens for everything. This started in late 80s. By 90s, people were loose motioning. Like if you are young as me or as old as me, you must have remembered back in the days, if you went to shops, they used to have catalogs, big catalogs. Like there were books of catalog. Now here's the deal, like this is LG, right? This is LG TV. LG has a mother glass factory that prints this glass. Awesome. But here's the deal. How many mother glass do you think they print? Types of mother glass? One. They just slices it in different ways. Okay, awesome. But here's the deal. What does that mean? That simply means there should be only 1 inch size. Like this is a 55-inch glass, as in like the slicing. So there should be LG 55-inch done go home. What we have? LG 55-inch BX model, LG 55-inch CX model, LG 55X hulalala model, jingalala model. Same glass panel. Again, if you change the size, you have to change the pixel density. So that's a different thing. That's why I saw you 55-inch. How the heck you have 4 to 5 models every year? Let that be clear. Every year they refresh it. It's BS. It's BS for BS sake. They give you the worst system, like in B models. They're like hyper garbage. It's like ultra garbage. And then they're like, hey, upgrade next year so we can fix this garbage. It's like you knowingly are creating it. That's the problem. Way too many models equals waste. Everything becomes like, I personally, like if I can fire that missiles at a product manager of Samsung who decides 54 model launches per year, I really want to blow them up. Now, that is just a pain, right? But there is a darker side to it, the QuickSand layer. Now, we have reached this, unfortunately. The QuickSand layer is that once you start to have some people who have too much money being basically they have to stop counting it. Meaning they cannot count it, like their daily expenditure does not count. Meaning they look at a restaurant and they like it, they eat it there. They do not have to worry, oh, what is the price? They do not. If they go to a car and they're like, hey, car looks good, I want to buy it. Done. They do not even have to think about it. So that level of money, once you start to reach that, it becomes something more than money. It becomes power. And this is where it starts to fall apart. If rich people can directly control law, there is no recourse for common people. Like this is a very tragic thing, but does happen, is that if you are a poor person, if you are caught with, it's a crime. You will actually go to jail. And court judges and all that, they will really you. Like you must have boomed people. Like you must have, like they will like really personally from bottom of their heart, they will work their ass off to destroy your life because you are doing something to relieve yourself. Now imagine same thing, same country, same law, same substance. A rich person does it. It's like, oh, it's a scandal. It's like, what the hell? Like this happens. That's the most tragic part. This happens. This is happening. This is real. What the hell? Like judges, like you look at their face, they are like, oh yeah, I'm destroying a poor person. Oh yeah, you should go to jail. Like think of it this way. Let's say a common working man, and something bad happened to him. Let's say again he committed a sin of marriage and then he got divorced, obviously, and then judges like filing charges more money than he earns. He's like, you have to pay for it, and then government is like, oh, you missed one of your payments, so let's remove your driving license. And then next police check, he got caught because again driving license was expired, he did not even knew it, and then they put him in jail, and then he never comes out of jail because you come out, you still haven't paid your money, go back to jail. And you look at the judges and they are so orgasmic about this. It's like, yeah. And you compare this to other rich people, they are like, oh, we are not paying billions of dollars in taxes. Literally, I'm not talking like, loopholes. No. I'm talking, I'm not just paying. I'm not even bothering to do loopholes. And it's like, we're going to have a conversation. And look at, like, I really want to poof all these judges. And I do go to court, so I, like, bottom of my heart. So this removes the recourse for common people. And that's boom. So it creates too much resentment. Is there anything in this world that is more dangerous than, well, hate? Yeah, resentment. Resentment is so brutal, so cruel that you will be willing to poof all of your family just so you can watch someone else burn. And that's how communism happens. People think, oh, how the heck communism could happen? It was a resentment. That's what they exploited. Resentment. Imagine if there are 50,000 of this sort of people and they keep watching this many people getting away with it. What do you think it will do to that? Early phases, it will be like, oh, they are just like, returned offender. In later words, it's like, surprise. So this is the whole point. Once the resentment reaches a very cruel point, it breaks everything. It breaks the fabric of society, and that triggers the deadline. And I mean actual deadline, as in everybody dies. So once you have this sort of quicksand event, you risk checks and balances that we built to make sure everybody stays alive, including these people. For example, if this guy just sells all the public data, breaches all the NDAs, and he does not go to jail, where other people accidentally, it's like, hey, I was looking into this, like, oh, I did not know I signed the NDA, I should not have talked about it. It's like, judges are like, yeah. It's like, how long can you do that before people just, you know what? Today is the day. Today is the day we all die. It happened. We have learned from the history. So that's the quicksand layer. That scares me. Like once you start to go into it, yeah, that's a truly scary part. Other things, to be mindful, other things leads to this. So that's the layer. So this was just my presentation on like the hell of it. Other part would be how to fix it or hope to fix it. So this was my presentation on late stage capitalism problems. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press this twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.